3 years ago, I had the pleasure of coming out to see this tiny house and talk to Marie for our very first GridFree Living episode. And today, we're lucky enough to have been invited back to see all the awesome progress she's made at her new place. Let's go take a look.
Hi, I'm Marie, and this is my tiny house. I currently live in Auckland and I've been living it for 4 years now. When I was about 25, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was working in a lab. I just had my environmental science degree. And I saw on a YouTube channel that someone was building their own tiny house. And it just blew my mind that someone could just build their own house. I started doing a lot of research and saving money. And then because of my background in environmental science, I made it a mission to be off-grid or as self-sufficient as I could be. If you go on YouTube, you see those people that are nailing it. They're like, yeah, I'm like self-sufficient, off-grid, I've got my garden and I'm good at everything. And I'm like, it's just a journey of like failing and having to redo it all the time, or just learning from your mistake, because no one is here to teach me. So I just have to make those mistakes myself. Obviously, I study environmental science. So I really love it. And I feel like this is part of my life every day, trying to decrease my footprint and just have an impact on the world, I guess, and be conscious of what I do. It is really fun to live this way, but it is a lot of work. It feels like being in school every day. I like learn new stuff. So that's where it came from, like I guess my upbringing of like wanting to help, wanting to do better. And then just thinking that you can actually do anything you want, but it is a lot of work, but it's fun.
So this is a brand new place compared to last time I saw you. Are you
Yes.
still renting?
I am. I found a bigger place and also have a shed as well.
That's that over there, right?
Yes, I've got all my tools. It works really well for me. I've got like a beautiful space, an orchard, my tiny house and a shed.
That's awesome. Everything you need, eh?
Yeah, pretty much. If you build your tiny house and there's no way you can afford land, you're just gonna have to talk about it a lot to everyone, just be the most obnoxious person you can. And eventually you find a place. So there's different ways of doing it. You can either, again, talk to people, or you can put some flyers in letterbox of the area you wanna be in, which I did as well. And I went on Facebook community groups and I put like a little post with a picture of my tiny house saying that I was looking for a piece of land to put my tiny house on. And I found a lovely couple that had this land. So to plug my tiny house in, because I'm renting the shed as well, there's power inside the shed, so I just run a very long extension cord to the shed. Also because I'm off-grid with water, the shed has a bigger roof, so I get all of my water from the roof. And I've got a water tank at the back and I've got a water pump as well that's like plugged to the shed. So that's my entire setup. Financially, when I was building my tiny house, I was renting with flatmates. So I had to pay that, and I was working shifts for a hospitality company, so I could pick the days I wanted to work or the shifts I wanted to work, so I was really flexible. So I would have heaps of time to build. For the place, one of my work colleagues knew someone who had like a big shed. He was just happy to rent it to me for like $50 a week, which is nothing. So definitely be very vocal about it, and hopefully people will help you.
So what are you growing here in the orchard?
So there's multiple stuff. We've got orange tree, pears, apples, lemon, a bit of everything. But to be honest, the birds usually get to it before I do. We've got like a plum tree. During the season, we've got 2 wood pigeon coming and they like stuff themselves. In like a week, it's all gone. And those trees are huge.
Oh,
but yeah,
no.
it's really fun to have them around. But if you want fruit, you have to get really quick.
It's a big trouble having your own patch of land, eh? It's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, it's more than what I thought. Like, I don't have a passion for mowing the lawn, but yeah, it is it's a bit of work, but still fun. A ride on, a hat on, and I'm good to go.
You've made quite a bit of progress over there. There's a whole deck.
Yes, yeah, it is. So much work, but yeah, it takes a bit of time to do, and hopefully I can enjoy it for a few more years on this beautiful land.
Yeah, exciting. I would love to get a closer look at the deck and the tiny house again.
Let's go and see it.
Awesome.
So off-grid living for me meant you are in control of what goes inside your house and what comes out of your house. I don't know, if for some reason in my head it was pretty straightforward. You've got your systems going on, and then during the weekend you do some gardening, and then you can be self-sufficient and off-grid. I thought it was easy that I'm in. It's just so much work and maintenance, and maybe not a full-time job, but close if you want to do things properly. It is a lot harder than what I thought it would be, but very rewarding. I don't think I could live any other way now, because I don't know, I feel very responsible for my impact, I guess. I don't want anyone to be in charge of like my water or my electricity if I can do it myself, or my waste. I'm very stubborn, so I like to do stuff myself and make my own mistakes, but it would be actually so nice to have like family or friends around that have the same kind of idea. I feel like maybe an advice for someone who would want to start in that journey is try to find a good community of people that have the same values as you and are not too far away. So my day-to-day routine in my tiny house would be, I wake up just looking everywhere and be like, I built this now. Living my best life. Now, I wake up and go straight to work. I'm a carpenter, so my day-to-day routine looks pretty much like everyone else, except when I get home, there's always something to fix or something to build. So for a holiday, I usually go to my friend's house for a couple of days and I can just actually chill. But when I'm here, I'm always doing something, or if I'm not, I'm just thinking about it. If I'm trying to relax on my bed, I'm like, I need to fix this and that. But it is fun and you feel like you've got a purpose. It's not like work to just work. So yeah, boring day-to-day life like a normal person, except you feel really good about yourself.
We've got a few more trees growing in here.
Yeah, that's my latest addition. So I just planted a few trees. They were in pots for like literally a year before I decided to plant them, and hopefully they grow a bit bigger and give me a little bit more privacy. Like I'm pretty isolated or pretty sheltered here, but I can still see the road a little bit, so just extra privacy. And I didn't want to build a fence. Too much work, so I did plant a few trees and hopefully they do the job.
And I see you've had a couple of chickens floating around.
Yes, they like free range, they live their own life. I've got 3 rescue chickens. It's just nice to have them around. They always follow you hoping for food. I would advise anyone everywhere, just rescue some chickens, they're fun. It would be awesome to have a couple of raised garden beds at the back of the house to have some vegetables. I will eventually get to it.
All in the 5-year plan.
Yeah, exactly. From the beginning, I started this journey. I stick to that way of thinking that I'm just only going to do what feels right. If I wake up and I throw myself into a project, there's that feeling like it's just meant to be and it just has to happen and it just feels right. Any big decision I take, like starting an apprenticeship at like 30 years old, when you could just, get a better job, be paid more, and it's another way of, buying a tiny house. Like instead of building it, you could just have a better job, just climb the ladder and do it this way. But it just didn't feel right. And when I was like, you know what, I want to build every day, and it's gonna be shit to start from scratch again and just go back to uni after you pass 30, and be very uncomfortable with starting something new, because you gonna suck at the start. Anything you start, you're just gonna be terrible at it. And past 30, you're just like, I just want to be good at what I do. I don't want life to be difficult anymore. So even starting my apprenticeship, knowing all of this, it just felt right. It felt like the right decision. So I have never been happier than when I have a purpose. Having a life that aligns with your value and your purpose is something that is probably the best thing you can do for yourself.
So what have you got going on here?
So here is my grey water system. So I'm trying to reuse the water that I use for my sink and my shower.
Yep.
So for my future garden. So the water is gonna go from my house to like a worm farm, and then I've got a little grease trap, and then it gets filtered into that bath there. There's a bath with a lot of like different types of gravel.
Yeah.
So it filters the water, there's sand as well. And then it gets into like a little container with a pump and pumps it back into this first container. And then when it's filled up, the part that it's clarified is going to overflow into this one.
Right.
And then from there, I can use it on my garden.
That's so cool. So that handles your grey water. What are you doing with your black water?
So I've got 2 systems. I've got my digester that's just there.
Yeah.
So I've got all of my food waste that goes into my incinerator.
Yep.
That is pumped to that digester, and my toilet as well. If I don't want to use that system during the winter, I've got a composting toilet outside as well.
Right.
But yes, so it's going to treat my waste. I'm going to get fertilizer from that I have to dilute with water. I can use it on my orchard. You don't want to use straight on vegetables. And I also get gas from it to cook.
That's very cool.
It is, in theory, it's really cool, but because I was away for a few months and I came back, because it's a system that's alive, I have to restart it, which means 10 buckets of horse or cow manure, just mixing it, and then, it's fun. I'm going to have a fun Sunday this week, for sure. So that's my system sorted.
Oh, that's very cool. So you're really getting close to that self-sufficiency that you were talking about last time we met.
Exactly, yes. It took a while and a few more tweaks and I should get there.
Oh, that's so cool.
So building a house is straightforward. It's just steps after another. It just feels really daunting at the start, but the rest of all of those things you have to learn to be self-sufficient and off-grid, it's a bit trickier because there's not like a book that tells you how to do that. And the best advice I could give to people is literally to just start. Because once you take that decision, things are just going to fall into place and it's not going to be necessarily easy. What allowed me to build everything and not go crazy with the amount of work that was ahead of me was to divide everything into 3. So every day I had 3 goals. Every week I had 3 goals that were a bit bigger. Every month, 3 goals, and every 3 months, 3 goals. So you don't have like a huge to-do list. You always have 3. So it's more manageable. That rule of 3 really helped me a lot to feel like, okay, 3 things are not too much. They can be big, they can be small, but don't go overboard. Starting is the hardest, the middle is okay, finishing is also really hard because you never finished. Just say bye to your free time. And you're going to build a lot of resilience and a lot of patience as well.
It was very good to be back here.
It's been like a bit of a change around here, but not too much actually. Inside is pretty similar to last time.
Yeah, I'm still blown away by how beautiful it is in here. You've done an amazing job.
Thank you. I'm still like, now that I'm a real builder and I just see everything that I built, like the first time obviously, I'm like, I should redo this or that. Things that you can't really see, but I'm like, this is revolting now. But from a professional perspective, but I was very stubborn on the fact that I didn't want anyone to help me, so I wanted to figure out the inside of the house. The only thing I've redone is the kitchen, because after the interview, I worked for a few months for a cabinet maker.
Right.
So I was like, now I know how to do it. So I just redid a few drawers and stuff, but pretty much everything is the same.
Yeah. It's really cool in here. But
thank you.
One big change.
Yeah.
This was a couch before.
It was, but I'm like, I know you now. I just can leave the bed. I don't need to make the couch up. Actually, it's just nice to hang out like this because you probably know this. When you've got small spaces, it's actually super annoying to have to change things around and like modify things. And I'm getting a bit lazier about that. I just want the bed to stay the bed, but still love the couch though.
Yeah, fair enough. No, because it has a big chunk that you take out of it, right?
Yeah, that's that part. Like I can just pull it out, and I just never know what to do with that box though. I usually just leave it outside the house.
Why did you choose to make your tiny house sort of this orientation?
I didn't have that much option for a kitchen area, and I wanted, like, usually you would have maybe the kitchen and the bifold, but I didn't want the tiny house to be too long. So I was like, well, either you have like a nice opening on the outside or like a spacious kitchen, and I went with that. But yeah, I'm not regretting it. The only thing I regret is having that window that doesn't open. It would have been so nice. I would have had that like inside-outside flow, but it was cheaper at the time. So I just went with that, thought I would be okay. But yeah, if I could change that, I would.
So what's your favorite part of the interior?
I'd say the view from this window. Like when I wake up in the morning and I put my blinds up and I see the view, I'm like, this is the best.
And I noticed the plant wall behind me has had a bit of an upgrade.
Yes, so I think last time you came here, I wanted to have like a green wall, which I did. I had like those felt pockets and you water the top and it just like goes to the bottom, and I just couldn't keep anything alive, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you learn a lot living in this place.
Yeah, made a lot of mistakes, kill a lot of plants, but yeah, we're getting there. I have the tiny house kit from GridFree with the hybrid inverter. It's been performing great for the past 4 years. I've got the chance to connect to the grid in winter because I picked a location that wasn't the best. I've got a great view, but I've got big trees around. So, and if I've got a bad season, like a lot of rain and not a lot of sun, I can just plug into the grid. And when summer is good again, I can just rely on the solar panels. So really, really happy with it. I am not someone that understands electricity really well. I did my homework when I had to purchase the kit, but the team made it extra easy for me to understand everything. They were just nice, available, very helpful, and they still here actually. And just knowing that it's not a company that doesn't really care, just want to sell you stuff, it just changes everything. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. My life hasn't changed too much since I'm on solar because, again, the system is so well done that you feel like you're just on the grid all the time. There's not too much maintenance to do. You just have to be a bit more aware of what you use, but there's just not an inconvenience in general. What I love, though, is when there's a power outage in the street. I'm not the only one with power. So this is the outdoor area.
This is a beautiful space that you've built. Has it just completely changed how you use the area?
Yes. I used to just come outside my house, just having to walk in the grass or in the mud, depending on the weather. But yeah, it just changes completely. It's like I've got like a huge house now. And I also feel like I can have my friends over. Like before I was like, oh, it's so small. Maybe I can have like 3 people. That's it, max. And now just trying to compensate for like not being to have people inside. Now I'm like, okay, I need a couch. I need like a big table. I need another table outside. I'm going all out. I remember when I showed the size to my mom, like I was just telling her I'm planning to build a deck outside, and I sent her a picture because I drew it with lines, and she was like, "It's why do you need this like a huge like outdoor area like this? Like your house is small. It's gonna look so stupid." Thanks. As I was building it, I was like, this is too big. Like I don't need such a big area. But now that it's here, I'm like, actually, I'm pretty happy with it. I honestly thought it would be a 2-weekend project. I don't know why I was so delusional about it, but it took me like 3 months, like as I was working as well. But I didn't think it would take me so long, but I'm happy it's done now.
Yeah. Well, you've come out with something really beautiful. And I think having a bigger deck, it's something that you always seem to want. It's just more outdoor space.
Yeah, for some reason. So if you have friends coming over, then there's space for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's going on with this bit up here?
Okay, so I thought it would be a good idea to have like a transparent roofing. And it was really hot in here, really hot. Like, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something about it. So I've got this. It's kind of like a tent vibe.
No, I like it. It makes it really cozy.
Yeah, it does. It does. You're right.
So it feels like a big lounge with all these soft spaces.
Yeah. And as I was building it and I'm living in it, I just see more problems. So obviously I knew that, but as soon as it rains, I've got rain coming both sides, this side as well. So I have those blinds on each side that are protecting me from the rain. I might add some more here, but I'm just, as I'm going, I'm just analyzing all the problems and solving them as they arise. Yeah. But yeah, so far so good, but I'm really, really enjoying this space.
Yeah. Oh, you should. It's awesome.
Thank you. My setup is really one of my favorite features because people always ask me about it. And I can just be like, yeah, I'm just saying I'm off grid. I'm off grid and I'm trying to be self-sufficient is my favorite thing to say. I don't know, it's like a big flex for me. What I love most about living like this is I always have a good story to tell people. It became my identity like now. I'm the tiny house person. So when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a carpenter. I live in a tiny house, and like we've got like a conversation starter straight away. And everyone is really interested. If I meet a young woman, she usually is talking to me about she wants to build stuff as well. Like I feel like I can relate to so many people. I did environmental science because I wanted to save the planet. I guess like most of us, when we study environmental science, we're like, oh, I want to make a difference. And I feel like this little skill of having a tiny house and being off-grid and self-sufficient is my way of like having a conversation with someone, and maybe I can prove to people that it's not necessarily easy, but it's doable and everyone can do a little bit. I wouldn't change anything because it's my journey. life in general is always like throwing curveballs at you, so if you have to start over, it's okay. Se reposer sur ses lauriers. You can't rest on your laurels. I'm gonna be happy no matter what. Just go for it and everything is gonna fall into place.